Good evening and welcome. I am Owen Thorne, and I'm so very glad you've joined me here. For a moment, let your eyes soften, your breathing deepen, and your shoulders melt into comfort. You've arrived at a place of rest, a gentle space where you can set aside the day's troubles and simply be. In these first few moments, think of each slow inhale as a small gift you give yourself, inviting calm and serenity into your body. Tonight, we will wander through the awakening springtime countryside, a mystical tale drawn from Greek myth, and discover the gentle wonders that unfold when the earth stirs from its winter slumber. As you settle in, feel the hush settle over you like a light, warm blanket, and allow each breath to guide you deeper into tranquility. Yes, breathe in and out. Notice how your chest rises and falls in perfect harmony with the slowing pace of your thoughts. Let your surroundings become a soft blur, a peaceful backdrop to the lullaby of your heartbeats. Imagine the air around you filled with a delicate glow, wrapping you in a gentle cocoon. Any stray worries that remain in the corners of your mind can simply drift away, carried off by the quiet exhale of your breath. In this moment, it's enough to be comfortable, to be safe, and to let the tension slip gently from your body. Soon, we'll begin a journey into a land touched by ancient whispers and the promise of a renewing world. But for now, just rest in this comforting stillness, feeling that sweet calm blossoming within, like a tiny seed awakened by spring's first light. Long ago, in a valley cradled by rolling green hills, the countryside breathed with an ancient spirit. Each year, the land awaited the tender moment when the chill of winter would finally give way to the soft embrace of spring. The winding rivers would thaw, wildflowers would peak above the damp earth, and a gentle breeze would carry the promise of new life. In that place, the people believed deeply in a tale of rebirth and devotion, the story of Persephone's return from the realm of shadows, and the way her mother, Demeter, would welcome her back with joy, coaxing the earth to unfurl in wondrous colour and abundance. The villagers who lived among those hills spoke of Persephone's gentle footsteps as the catalyst for the flowers' bloom, her laughter the charm that awakened the sleeping roots beneath the soil. One particular year, the winter had been exceedingly long. Snowdrifts sat stubbornly atop fields, and the crisp, cold air hung over the village well into the days usually warmed by spring's gentle rays. It was as though the hush of the colder months refused to release its hold. But deep underground, unseen by mortal eyes, a quiet stirring had begun. Seeds that had slumbered during the dark, froze days now quivered with anticipation. Roots stretched out, searching for the faintest hint of warmth. And in the hearts of all those who called the valley home, be they animal or human, a longing rose for the gentle renewal that would soon arrive if they only held on to hope. Word spread that Persephone's footsteps might finally break winter's lingering spell. In whispered conversations carried on the breeze, the villagers recalled how Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, and all living things that grow, eagerly awaited her daughter's yearly return from the underworld. The bond between mother and child was said to be so strong that the entire earth felt it. Lush blossoms and tender sprouts responded to Persephone's homecoming like faithful friends. Yet that year, the people worried that perhaps Persephone had grown wearied or delayed. Children asked their parents if Persephone had forgotten, and parents wondered in silent corners of their own hearts if the land would remain locked in ice for the entire season. Not too far from the main village was a tranquil meadow leading to a wooded hillside. There, a narrow stream wound its way among mossy rocks. The few who ventured to that meadow at dawn spoke of a glimmer in the morning light, almost like a playful ribbon of gold dancing just above the frost-covered ground. One chilly morning, a gentle creature, a young fox, found herself stepping gingerly across the meadow in search of the new shoots that typically sprang up with the warmer weather. Her fur fluffed up against the crisp air. She paused at the water's edge, where a patch of green had dared to peek out from beneath the snow. It was the smallest start of spring, but the fox could sense that the earth was coming alive beneath her paws. It was the kind of awakening that was soft and shy at first, but held within it the power of an entire season's rebirth. Beyond the meadow's stream, a small grove of ancient trees stood, their rough bark shimmering in the filtered sunlight. The branches of these grand elders had seen countless cycles of growth and renewal. From deep within their roots, they recognized the subtle energy of Persephone's approach, a quiver of expectation pulsing through each hidden fiber. The trees quietly prepared themselves for the warm tide of spring. They knew that she would come, for the rhythms of the world remained unbroken, even when mortals became anxious. All living beings in that gently sloping valley simply needed to trust in the ancient bonds between mother and daughter, goddess and life-giving earth. Sure enough, a few days later, a faint perfume of blossoms drifted across the land. One by one, snowdrops and crocuses pierced the last icy remnants and opened petals of pristine white and violet. The villagers looked out from their windows and saw those early signs of spring. There was a collective exhalation of relief, as though nature itself was saying, "You are not forgotten." In meadows that had seemed so barren, soft breezes now carried the hint of lily and hyacinth. The sun, once pale and remote, lingered a little longer above the horizon. Its rays sparked a gentle thaw in the fields, giving birds the courage to sing again at dawn. A shepherd boy, tending his sheep near the edge of the forest, noticed the ground felt softer beneath his feet. The sheep eagerly nibbled at the fresh green sprouts, contently ignoring the last patches of snow. Quietly, the boy marveled at how quickly the land could shift from stillness to a subtle, almost secret dance of renewal. It made him recall an old story about how every living thing resonates with Persephone's light when she walks the land. Watching the sheep so thoroughly lost in the pleasure of new grass, he felt a soft joy, thinking about the inevitability of cycles and how, in time, all things come to life again. In the heart of the valley, an elderly woman who spent her days gathering herbs in a worn basket began to notice the green shoots of plantain and dandelion poking through the thawed ground. She gently touched the tiny leaves, feeling that wondrous pulse beneath her fingertips. It was as if the earth's heartbeat had quickened with the knowledge that its beloved maiden was returning. She collected only a few of the fresh shoots, whispering words of gratitude to the goddess for each one. Then she carefully placed them in her basket, leaving plenty behind to grow strong and flourish. By nightfall, she would brew a simple spring tonic from these herbs, sipping it while she remembered her younger days of dancing barefoot in the blossoming fields. As the days progressed, the countryside transformed with patient yet relentless vitality. Buds formed on tree branches, swelling with sweet expectancy. The gentle, lilting tones of the wind through the forest canopy became a hushed lullaby, as if the land were softly humming in anticipation. Tiny wildflowers continued to carpet the meadow. Delicate anemones and violets emerged in pastel waves, their heads turned towards the warming sun. Creatures that had huddled in burrows and dens all winter began to awaken. Rabbits ventured out at dusk, leaping and darting among the fresh green shoots. Deer travelled from higher slopes to munch on tender buds near the lowland streams. Birds, newly arrived from their southern journeys, sang the joyous news of life renewed. Throughout it all, there was a sense of ancient magic flowing quietly under the surface of everyday sights and sounds. It was a sweet and gentle power, one that didn't boast or clash, but rather threaded itself through each tender leaf, every drop of dew, and each breath of fresh morning air. Though mortals might not have seen Persephone herself stepping lightly across the fields, they felt her presence as tangibly as the promise carried in a spring breeze. Some said that if you listened intently, you might catch the distant echo of her laughter in the nighttime wind, or glimpse her silhouette in the gleam of moonlit blossoms. Others believed that just offering thanks at a humble altar of stones and flowers could bring the grace of that goddess into their hearts. To meet her in her radiant joy at her daughter's return whispered blessings upon the fields. The wheat seeds stirred in their rows as if stretching eager arms upward. The orchard trees, still bearing the memory of frosty nights, felt the goddess's warmth. Their limbs, once stark and bare, sprouted tight clusters of blossoms, white and pink and delicate as the hush of a lullaby. Bees began to visit these blossoms, collecting nectar and spreading promise from one bloom to the next. In hushed corners of barns and stables, farm folk prepared for the sowing season, grateful that nature's great cycle was back on track. Far above, upon a distant hill, an old temple ruin nestled between tall cypress trees. It once housed carved statues, paying homage to the gods. Over the years, vines and ivy had grown around fallen columns. Under the glow of the returning sunlight, fresh leaves uncurled around the broken stone. A traveller passing by at sunset paused to admire the silhouette of the temple against the soft orange sky, and thought he saw a gentle figure, wreathed in flowers, slip among the pillars before vanishing like a dream. He felt no fear, only awe, for the evening air seemed alive with blessings. A hush fell over him, as if he had stepped into a moment outside of time, bridging the mortal realm and the divine. The next morning, the traveller shared his story in the village tavern, where the fragrant steam of porridge mingled with the lively chatter of those who had come to exchange news. Some villagers nodded knowingly, relating tales of their own grandparents seeing glimpses of Persephone in the twilight. Others simply smiled and stirred their cups of tea, content to dwell in the quiet certainty that the goddess was among them, whether seen or unseen. For truly, the land itself was the greatest proof of her return. Meadows fragrant with wild thyme, streams swirling with melted snow, and a gentle hum of expectation that filled the crisp, cool dawn. In the fields just beyond the tavern's windows, the first poppies began to bud, their red blossoms still tucked away like secrets. A young woman, out gathering daisies for a wreath, noticed a trembling in the tall grass. She knelt, quietly parting the green strands, only to see a small hare nestled within. Wide-eyed and trembling, the hare radiated the shy energy of a newly awakened world. The young woman smiled, whispered a gentle greeting, and placed a single daisy near the creature before moving on. The hare remained, ears twitching at the slightest rustle. Its bright eyes reflected the woman's tender gesture. Soon it would hop away, carrying the story of kindness into the hush of the morning meadow. Over the next weeks, the spring countryside found a steady rhythm of gentle emergence. Flocks of birds hopped and fluttered through fields, adding splashes of colour and song to the gradually greening landscape. Soft rains fell during the afternoons, tapping lightly on roof tiles and forming tiny rivulets along pebbled paths. Children dashed outside after each shower, eager to see earthworms wriggling on the damp ground, or to dance in puddles warmed by the gentle sun. The steady cycle of soft rains and emerging sunshine wove a tapestry of brilliant life, painting the land in shades of green that the villagers had almost forgotten during the long winter. Now and then, a faint memory of winter returned on an early morning breeze, but the blossoming fields and the lengthening days left no doubt that spring had claimed its rightful place. The orchard blossoms drifted down in snowy petals, covering the ground in a fragrant carpet. Blossoms gave way to tiny fruits, pears and apples, beginning their journey to fullness under the watchful eye of Demeter, who took delight in each stage of growth. Springtime was not a dramatic fanfare, but a patient, comforting melody, building day by day, breath by breath. If anyone strolled beneath the tall oaks at dusk, they might sense a flutter of ethereal movement among the flowers, an echo of Persephone's gentle presence, blessing the earth. From Myth's vantage, her story had always been one of departure and return, of descent into darkness and triumphant re-emergence into the light. But in the hush of these spring twilights, one could believe that she walked side by side with the villagers. She was not a distant deity, but a kind soul who cherished every bud and blossom that emerged from the soil. Eventually, the hillside burst into a full tapestry of wildflowers. Marigolds and daisies, lavender and bluebells, poppies and pale windflowers, all swaying in a harmonious dance whenever the breeze drifted by. A young mother ventured there with her little daughter, weaving a flower crown as they meandered. The child's eyes sparkled, as if each blossom was a new miracle. A sense of reverence wove through the two of them, the mother recalling childhood memories of the first spring she'd been allowed to place an offering at a simple altar for Persephone, hoping to carry that devotion through another generation. They placed a small wreath of wildflowers at the base of an ancient tree, whispering gratitude to the goddess who had once again blessed the land. Meanwhile, the creatures of field and forest moved effortlessly in the symphony of renewal. Bees buzzed from flower to flower, collecting pollen in their fuzzy baskets, while butterflies danced overhead in light, gliding arcs. Squirrels raced across fresh, dew-laden grass, foraging for bits of seeds and nuts, delighting in the gentle warmth that touched their fur. Deer ventured closer to human dwellings, nibbling at the edges of gardens. Even the crows, perched on fence posts, seemed softened by the changing season, their calls less raucous, more contemplative, as though mindful of a sacred hush settled across the land. A lull of gentle days passed, each brimming with small yet wondrous transformations. The village itself glowed with fresh energy. Residents took to sweeping porches and opening windows wide, welcoming the crisp breeze into old rooms. Children brought home handfuls of wildflowers to place in simple clay jars, brightening the corners of modest kitchens. And all around, one could feel a subtle sense of relief, as if winter's weariness had truly been sloughed off, replaced by unwavering faith in the cyclical dance of nature. By the time the fields were fully green and fruit blossoms had mostly fallen, leaving behind young, hopeful fruit, the whisper of Persephone's footsteps had woven itself so thoroughly into the land that her presence seemed both everywhere and nowhere at once. The goddess had ushered in the promise of warmer days, then receded into the tapestry of the countryside, merging with every leaf and every bloom. Few questioned whether they'd truly glimpsed her, because they sensed that she was part of every gentle stirring they felt beneath their feet and within their hearts. One bright afternoon, a soft glow fell across the valley, and an old farmer paused in his work. He stood under the sun's golden rays, gazing out over the meadows and farmland, over the brilliant tapestry of wildflowers and the newly green forest. The wind was a mere whisper against his weathered cheeks. In that simple moment, he closed his eyes and breathed in the sweet scent of blossoms. Every care that had weighed upon him felt lighter. In an unspoken prayer, he offered thanks to Demeter and Persephone for returning life to the earth once more, for allowing him another season to till the soil and witness the miracle of growth. It was the kind of quiet awe that dwells in simplicity and gratitude. Over the next days, the gentle hush of spring mellowed, settling into a calm that blanketed the village and outlying hills. People went about their daily tasks with serene acceptance. Creatures grazed peacefully under sun-dappled canopies. The streams babbled softly, as though humming lullabies to the newly awakened fields. Nightfall arrived later each evening, wrapping the land in a cloak of mild starlight. If any villager ventured outside at dusk, they might witness the fireflies beginning their flickering dances among the tall grasses, matching the gentle twinkle of the stars above. At last, one early morning, as pink and lavender hues spread across the sky, the sense of spring's crescendo reached a beautiful stillness. The final echoes of winter had completely yielded, and spring stood triumphant, offering a playful promise of warmth. There in the meadow, the flowers nodded in the light, and the fox from before trotted through the dew, ears perked to the rustling and birdsong that greeted the dawn. Tiny droplets sparkled on petals and leaves like tiny gems. The whole valley, from the high hills to the rolling farmland, felt like a cradle of gentle wonder. Now, dear listener, all is peaceful, and the story begins to drift like a soft breeze at twilight. Let the tale's gentle echoes fill you with calm. In your own space, your breathing has slowed to a tender rhythm. Let the warmth of this springtime countryside rest in your heart. Know that the cycle of renewal is ever present, that each dawn heralds new beginnings. You do not need to hold on to these images too tightly. Simply let them float, like petals carried by a gentle stream. Feel your body gradually sinking deeper into rest. The weight of the day has faded, replaced by a soothing sense of connection to the ancient promise of life re-emerging from stillness. With each inhalation, imagine the soft scent of blossoming meadows. With each exhalation, release any lingering worries into the quiet night, like wisps of cloud drifting across a moonlit sky. Let the hush of nature's renewal wash over you, cradling you in a timeless lullaby, as if Demeter herself were whispering warmth and safety into the air around you. The springtime night is kind and forgiving. You've traveled gently through the tale, and now it's time to rest. Each breath carries you closest to a dreamscape where flowers glow in soft moonlight, and a sweet breeze carries the hush of distant myth. There is no rush and no hurry here. All is calm, all is serene. So close your eyes and embrace the silence that nurtures your spirit. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well